Hey guys, so we are back with you again. We just went round, and as you see, we've shown you what the building is going to look like. Like we shared with you, there's a master bedroom and then 2 other bedrooms. It comes with a dining, and they're all en suite. There's a guest washroom as well attached to it. So as we go along, I'm sure you're going to see it. And of course, maybe I'll share the plan, a screenshot of the plan with you, so that you see what we are discussing. But now we want to discuss the cost, the main thing that I'm sure is making most of you come to watch the video. Lawrence, let's discuss quantities.
Okay.
Because a lot of people want to build, but sometimes they want to put monies together and all that. So they would want to know, like, how much can I save?
For a 3-bedroom house, like I mentioned previously, we are likely to spend about, let's say, between 80 to 100,000 on the foundation. For a very good foundation, yes. I mean, for a 3-bedroom, we can decide to, let's say, omit like a ground beam. We can decide to omit 1 or 2 things. Obviously, the quantities of rods will differ as compared to when they are doing a multi-story building. So yes, let's say between 80 to 100,000 for the foundation, and then we can equally project maybe around 50,000 to, let's say, 75,000 for the superstructure, and then the roofing we can project about 40,000. But depending on the roof, though. Depending on the roof.
And what about the finishing?
The finishing is usually the most expensive, because for someone they want a particular type of tiles. For others, they just want to go in for the regular tile. So yeah, the finishes also would increase the cost. But for some people, they can spend about 200,000 on finishing. For some, maybe 100,000. And for some, maybe 50,000, yes.
Nice. So yes, so it depends on your pocket, your taste, and where you are looking at building. But we are discussing this one. So let's start from the beginning.
Yeah.
What should we look at?
Okay, so
in deciding the cost
for the
3-bedroom house. So we are dividing our discussion into 2, right?
Yes.
We are doing material. And then labor.
Yes.
So let's do the material. For the 3-bedroom house. What materials are going to go into it?
Okay, so for a 3-bedroom house, we should have about 30 board is fine. Okay, that will help us with the profiling, at the same time pushing of concrete, and also when we get to the columns, yes, it will equally help us. And if we are lucky enough, we can have it for the overside concrete. Yes. We also need pegs. So we need pegs to hold the profile board. We also need 3 inches nails, 4 inches nails. We need POP powder for marking. Okay, and then we need obviously some materials. So some, let's say about 3 stones, 3 trips of stones, and 2 trips of sand will be fine. And then we need some iron rods. So for a 3-bedroom house, which is not a story building, we can do a 14 mm for the starter columns, a 12 mm for the mat, and then we can then decide to either do a ground beam or not to do a ground beam, depending on if we want to go a bit extra. Yes, but then for a 3-bedroom simple house, we can decide not to really use the ground beam. Yes. We can also decide not to put a mesh, that's the reinforcement on the overside concrete. We need obviously some nitrites for feeding. Okay. We need some plumbing materials also. So basically, these are some of the materials we need.
For the substructure.
For the substructure.
Just the substructure. Okay.
Yes. Even with the plumbing materials, we can decide to go in for a pressure pipe or a regular pipe. Okay, so pressure pipe, cars will pass on top, we won't do anything. Regular pipes, hammer fall from the top to hit it get damaged.
So you advise that people use the pressure pipe?
I always advise you going for the pressure pipe so that it can withstand all the pressures around.
Okay, so can we get the prices for these materials that you have listed? And then at the end of mentioning the prices and the quantities, you tell us how much everything costs for the material that we are using for our bedroom.
Okay, fair enough. The one I bought on the market is 126. The pegs, I bought it at 6 cedis. Well, others are buying it. Others are selling it at 8 cedis.
That's what we call the peg. Can we?
Okay, so these are pegs.
And one of this is how much?
This is 6 cedis for one.
For one.
Yes. But then on the market, others are selling it 7 cedis. Others are selling it 6 cedis. These are pile length.
This is Accra.
Usually it's very short.
This is Accra, and yeah, they are selling. Maybe if you are building in Kumasi or somewhere else, it may be cheaper, right?
Yes.
It may be cheaper as compared to Accra, but this is Accra prices that we are mentioning.
We have 3 inches nails, 4 inches nails. Our nails is about 70 cedi for some places, 75 for some places. 80.
Or either 3 or 4. They are all the same price.
Box, yes.
So 70 cedis for the box.
Yes.
Or 75, depending on where.
70 to 80, depending on where you're buying.
Depending on where you're buying it.
And then we have the POP powder. The POP powder is for the market, and that one also depends on where you're buying it. It's between 90. Now it's coming down actually. But POP powder at a point went to about 1. But now it's between 90 to 110. It's just around 90 to 110.
How many bags did you use for this?
Just 1 bag.
1 bag of POP cement. How many nails?
Yeah, 3 inches nails, 2 boxes. Then we need 4 inches nails, 2 boxes. That's fine. I mean, once we manage it well, that can complete the substructure. Yeah. We need about 10 strips of laterite for the filling. Okay. And then we need a plumbing materials. If we are doing pressure pipe, we are likely to spend about, let's say, between 5,000 to 7,000. But if you are doing the regular pipes, we are likely to spend about 3,000. And then the blocks. Okay, so we can do about 1,005 blocks. We are looking at doing about 1,005 blocks for the
1,500 or 1,500.
1,500 blocks. So 1,500 blocks for the substructure.
And how we are using the 6 inches?
We are using the 6 inches.
6 inches block.
We are using the 6 inches block for the foundation. And then at least 2 trips of stones, 2 trips of sand.
What kind of stones are you talking about?
The quarry stones. For some
so 2 trips of that. How much is a trip of the stone?
Okay, so a trip of stone is about 2,600 to 2,900. The sand is about 2,000 to 2,006. Now the sand and the stones are almost the same price. Basically. And then some water.
Alright guys, so as we have mentioned some of the materials, I think that we can now share the Excel sheet that we prepared for this foundation for you, and then Lawrence will run us through the amount that we spent, the number, and then the total. So let's start with materials.
Okay.
Guys, we had to move because of the sun, so we changed location, so that's why you're seeing something else. But
okay, so the materials that we need for the substructure basically, we need the boards. For a substructure in total, we can do like 40.
that's the one board.
That's the one board. And then we have some pegs also. We have about 30 pegs that we need to cut. And then we have that of.
And we already showed you the pegs. That's a sample. I don't think they can see it, but yes.
We have the pegs and also we have some nails. So 2 boxes of 3 inches, 2 boxes of 4 inches. That should take care of the substructure. Then we need about some trips of sand. Let's say 2 trips of sand, 3 trips of stones.
We have the binding wire, 10 in quantity. which is 80 cedis for one. And then we have sand, we have stone, we have cement plus transportation. These things, I think they are self-explanatory, right?
Yes.
So we are just going to run over them with you. And then we have the BRC mesh, which we put in the...
On top of the oversight concrete.
Yes, on top of the oversight concrete. Then we have water. We buy water for this project, of course. And then bamboo. What do we use the bamboo for?
The bamboo for supporting the rebars to stand.
Okay, what do you mean by rebars for a layman?
Okay, so usually when you set the pillars, okay, when you set the reinforced rods or the reinforcement, when you set them, it has to stand truly vertical. So you use the bamboo to support the side and side so that the rebars will not fall through.
Okay, so for the bamboo we got 10 pieces,
yes.
And then 2x4 wood 10 pieces, blocks 2,700 blocks for this foundation, and then plumbing materials. Of course, we mentioned to you that for the plumbing materials, we will advise that you go for the pressure pipes, right?
Yes, yes.
Because it's good to think long term. If you are thinking about the cost now, and you feel like, oh, let me just use a normal pipe, you may end up costing you more. It may end up costing you more. So go in for the pressure pipe. It will cost you now, but then for the long term, it will be of value to you. And then we have the damp-proof membrane. That's the plastic that we normally use to line before we cast the concrete. And then we have pumping of water. What's that?
Okay, so there are instances when you are working and then it rains and then water gets into the foundations. So you need to prepare for it. So then we make provision for a pumping machine so that once there is water in the foundations, we can pump the water out.
But I see that you didn't put any cost there.
Yeah, because a pumping machine, if you rent it for a day, it's about 250 cedis. And we don't know how many times it's going to rain till we are done with the foundation.
Okay, so depending on how much we use.
Depending on the number of times.
So with this, do you go back to the client to add up?
No, sometimes if things are tight, but there are instances when you can get some money from somewhere too.
Hey, how do you get money from somewhere?
Because for some clients, yes, they will understand, but some other clients...
So that means you are taking from your labor actor to pay or what?
Yes, sometimes you take it from the supervision to pay.
I see. Guys, Lawrence is a giver, so please, use the services, okay? Okay, let's move on to the next item. Okay guys, so I'm going to go over what we have listed here, and like it's going to be on your screen. So for the machine, and we are listing them according to the descriptions, and then the quantity that we are buying, and then the total amount. After we give you the total amount, and then we give you the dollar or the pounds equivalent, depending on where you're watching from, that it can help. So we have for A, we have machine excavator for 2 days. And of course, we didn't use an excavator for this one. But then we listed it because we didn't know what size we were using, right?
Exactly.
At the beginning, when we put the cost together. And in any case, it's still the same amount that we are going to pay the guys.
Yes. Or even
more or less. Or even more because they are doing manpower. So we have excavator, and we listed quantity 2. And the rate is 3,000 cedis for a day. But let's talk about the labor since we are using manual. So let's talk about the fact that we are using these people. How much are we paying them?
Okay, so we are
First
paying...
of all, how many people are you?
Okay, so currently we are using about 10 people for this, yes, for the beginning. So let's say between 8 to 10.
And how much do you pay?
So we are paying 70 cedi. Okay, so we are paying between 70 to 80 cedi for every 10 feet.
For every 10 feet?
Yes.
So how do we measure the 10?
Oh, we use tape measure to measure.
So you are able to know how much everybody has.
Yeah. Everybody knows his line.
I see.
And if you allow somebody to take your line, that's your...
Okay. If somebody finishes earlier than you, they can always come and take another line. I mean,
exactly.
And collect their money.
And for some people, they've taken...
So 80 cedis for a feet?
For every 10 feet.
For every 10 feet, okay. So depending on the number of feet each person has.
And this one does not include the pit. Where the pit is where we have the columns. Okay. But where the columns is,
how much we charge for that?
the size is bigger and the depth is different. So that one is pit by pit. Yes.
So how much is that?
So with this particular project, we are paying 50 cedi for a pit.
Okay, guys, so that's how the calculation. When we finish everything, I'm sure we'll be able to share with you exactly how much we are going to pay them. Because we don't have the total figure now, right? Or do you have it?
We have projections.
So, like, how much are we paying?
Okay, for
Everybody together.
we are likely to spend about 6,000 on that.
So, guys, it means that it still makes the 6,000 that we are using, whether we are using machine or human hands, we still get the same thing, right? Or maybe more. We may even go more than the machine. And then the next thing we have is concrete machine for 2 days for the foundation. Guys, you know what the concrete machine is? The machine that we use to mix the concrete to be able to do the casting. And so that one we are also taking for 2 days, and every day is 600. Why do we have quantity too? Are we taking two?
Like 2 days. So because of the size of the
okay, yeah, so that's
likely to do 2 days.
2 days, and every day that is it stays on your site, you pay 600 Ghana cedis. And then we have transportation. This transportation is for the concrete machine.
Yes.
Okay. So we are paying 300 cedis for bringing the concrete machine in. Does it include going back?
Yeah, in and out.
Taking it back. Okay. 300 cedis for that. And then we have a compaction machine. That is after the casting, after the filler, what we use to do the compacting. And that is 1,000 cedis for 1 day. And then the transportation for that is 300 Ghana cedis. And then we also have concrete machine coming again.
Yes. For casting of the oversight bound.
Okay. For casting of the oversight. So it means the concrete machine is going to be here for 4 days. We just calculate it like that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So like we already mentioned, that's 600. It will go and come and go again, because you cannot, each day that you keep it on your site, you are going to pay for it. So once you are done, you can just let it go, and then when you are ready to bring it back again to do the work, you just bring it back again. Of course, you pay more transportation, but it is what it is. And then we also have the pumping of water again, in case that comes up with no price attached to it. And our total for that is 10,300 Ghana cedis. I'm going to share the dollar rate with you, the dollar equivalent with you guys on the screen. Now let's go to labor. How much? Labor is basically what we are charging, right?
Yeah, labor is basically
and every other thing that we are
so
going to take to do this job for you. And so I'm going to go over that one. We have site clearance. Can you explain?
Okay, so usually before you start any construction, there are weeds on the site. Sometimes there are bushes on the site, so you want to clear. Sometimes the land is not level. You want to make sure it's a bit level because of sometimes some trees and other things. So you just want to make sure the land is clean and safe, let me say,
yes,
so that work can go on easily.
So for this site, we are charging 500 Ghana for site clearance. This is not like a fixed amount. It highly depends on your site. I think this place was thin. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah, it wasn't
clearing it up.
Yeah.
So that's how come. But it can go more than that. Sometimes you may even need to weed and do excavation and all that. So that's not a fixed amount. Okay, so item B is the setting out of building, which is the profiling, right?
Yes.
And for that one, we are charging the client 700 Ghana cedis. And then we have cleaning and compaction of bottom of excavation.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Okay, so usually when you use machine to do excavation, okay, because of the damages the machine does, okay, the machine doesn't give you a very good finish. Okay, so you can see after the machine is done, you still see some excavated materials in the trenches. Loose excavated, so it has to be cleared out. Sometimes even the corners and the joining and other things are not properly shaped, so you need to get that place leveled up and cleared up.
So let me ask you, if we are not using a machine and we are using human labor to do that, does this still
this doesn't come in. So the human labor gives us that finish that we want.
Okay, so assuming we are not using human labor, that's 1,000 cedis for that. And then we have blinding. What is blinding?
So blinding is basically casting a weaker concrete, okay, or let's say just casting concrete, okay. But then the thickness of the blinding is usually between 50 mm to 100 mm, okay. That's about 4 inches. Okay, 50 mm to 100 mm. That's about 4 inches. We use the blinding to seal the bottom of the excavation where the columns or the reinforced bars sit, which is the starter columns, where they sit. So you have the mat, and then you have the starter column. Okay, so the place where it sits, because you don't want the reinforcement to come in contact with the ground. Okay, other than that, then rusting will take an effect.
Okay, so after that's 1,000 Ghana cedis for the blinding. And then we have still bending of starter columns. Of course, you know what that is. I'm going to share videos of what we have done in the past with you. The still bender comes and does the mats and all those things.
Or the mat, or
yes.
the reinforcement.
And for that one, we are charging 4,000 Ghana cedis. Or the still bender is charging 4,000 Ghana cedis. And then setting of starter column. So after the still bender comes, we have to do the setting out.
You have to set out
for the columns. And that is 1,000 Ghana cedis. And that is done by the steel benders and then the masons, the engineer, all of them. And that's 1,000 Ghana cedis for that. And then we have the concrete in foundation. What's that?
Okay, so concrete in foundation is basically, that's when the concrete machine comes to site. That's where we have like between 100 bags to 150 bags. We are coming to mix concrete and we are coming to place concrete on the ground. Okay, so that is the actual foundation concrete.
Okay. So that's why it's a bit high. That's a 6,000 Ghana cedis. And then block work in foundation. Of course, doing the blocks, laying the blocks in the foundation. That's self-explanatory. And that is 8,000 Ghana cedis. It goes to the masons, the foreman, the laborers, and the workers in general. Then we have carpenter work. So after the laying of blocks, carpenters will of course come and do their work.
Their work, yeah. Their work on the columns.
Yes. So that is 2,000 Ghana cedis. And then casting of column itself is also 2,000 Ghana cedis. Then from there, we do striking of column. Can you throw more light on the striking of column?
Well, striking of column is basically removing of the formwork from the column.
Okay, that's when it's dried.
When it's dried, yeah.
Okay. So for that, it's 800 Ghana cedis. And then we have the filling of foundation. Of course, we are going to need laborers again to do this. So this is going for 4,000 Ghana cedis. And then plumbing works, 2,000 Ghana cedis. Steel benders, ground beams. What's that?
Okay, so after the block work, you have to run a beam on top of the blocks. Okay, so you don't want to have the beam only on the first floor, because then the column stand and then the beam is just at the top. You need a beam to tie the whole foundation on that foundation level, okay, to keep the building in place on the foundation level before the beam at the top. So that's why we have the beam, or for some people it's a tie beam.
Okay, so that's 1,000 Ghana cedis for that. And then carpenters oversight work. Carpenters will come back and work again, and that's 2,000 Ghana cedis. Then we have the oversight concrete. That's the final concrete that we put in place after everything, and that is going for 4,000 Ghana cedis. So in total, the full collection is 40,000 Ghana cedis for the labor.
And
then we have supervision that we put in, because sometimes aside from the foreman and then the engineer working, we have people who come on site to do supervision in case they are not able to come on site all the time, like you're not there, maybe other people. So we always charge you for supervision. Then that's 5,000 cedis for all the substructure work. So the total amount for labor for this 3-bedroom house substructure is 45,000 Ghana cedis. So the general summary of this substructure for our 3-bedroom house, this is a simple 3-bedroom house substructure and cost that we are giving you. We have item A, that is the material that we did earlier, 131,930 Ghana cedis. And then we have item B, which is the machine, that is going for 10,000 Ghana cedis and 10,300 Ghana cedis. Then labor, 45,000 Ghana cedis. And the total for this substructure alone is 187,000 Ghana cedis, 230 Ghana cedis. 187,230 Ghana cedis. So yes, if you are thinking of building something in Ghana or in Accra, a 3-bedroom house for instance, just think that at the initial stage of your foundation, this is what you can spend. It may be more, it may be less, depending on what other things you're going to add to it. So guys, thank you so much for coming by and watching. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and share the video for me. My love to you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
MZZK.